I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Hunter.
This is the Family Showdown!
Howdy folks, welcome to Family Showdown Top 100 Games of All Time, my list. And now we are getting to the good stuff. We are down to 30 through 21. This is where we're getting ridiculous. It's so good. It's just ridiculous. Straight up ridiculous.
Well, the last list was good. Let's hope that you can keep the trend going.
Oh, it's... It is on.
It is on, huh?
It is on.
Okay.
So, without further ado, let us go on to number 30, which is new to my list. And I'm guessing we must have gotten this not very long after I had completed my list, because I feel like we've had this game longer, but we haven't, apparently. And that is the beast that is A Feast for Odin. Do you remember when we got this? It must have been not long after we made my list last year, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm not sure when
Look at this thing. Look at this. I mean, it's a beast of a game. And I probably shouldn't even hold it upright when I think about it. But fortunately for us, this is one of those games that has a really amazing insert. I must say, in fact, I'll probably show you this really quickly. Feast for Odin, first of all, though, is another monster game by Uwe Rosenberg, and it's another game of his that you start out where you feel like you're not doing very much, but it ramps up and more, and by the end of the game you're just doing all sorts of moves, and it's just amazing. You don't even realize just how quickly it ramps up. But what you're doing is you're preparing a feast for Odin. Okay, it doesn't feel like that so much. You're playing Tetris with food and objects. That's what it feels more like. But here's what's neat about it. It's got some different rules, you know, like meat and vegetables have to, like, separate everything out. You can't have certain things touching. There's a lot of interesting different rules to make it more intricate. But one thing that sells the game for me, because, first of all, the board, okay, not that big, right? Look at that. This is the choices board, shall we say. Ridiculous amount of choices. What did they decide was a 60 or some nonsense? It's crazy. So there's also these objects that will have unique shapes that are worth certain victory points too that you can put on your board. You're filling up a board with these pieces. Look at these inserts, guys. These inserts come with the game. It's even got a nice plastic lid that holds all the pieces in place. But not just this tray. Check it out. Another tray. What's neat, though, I will show you this, too. The pieces are two-sided. So, depending on if you want to kind of, like, use them for different things, they have different abilities. Some of them you can level them up and things like that. That's not the only pieces for the game, though. Of course, we have these. We have rocks. We have trees. Did you get where I'm going with this? There are pieces for this game. It's ridiculous, the amount of stuff. But what's fun about it, once you get past the setup... Oh, gosh. Once I've turned this corner, I can not go back now. I must repack this. Here's your player mat. They're pieces that you want to leave open, and then the rest of them you want to cover. So if you cover everything up but leave that one spot open and everything else around it is completely covered, then you get certain bonuses. So you're going through and you're trying to use all these unique pieces and use resources to get these other pieces and buy these things, and you're filling this up. And then, as if that wasn't crazy enough, you can get more boards like this to fill up and get more victory points. Like Iceland or Labrador. It's pretty amazing. And although it's a daunting amount of pieces, the choices and the different things that you can do in this game are really pretty impressive. And it's really fun to kind of puzzle out what you need to do, how you need to do it, and figure that out with a really tight, quick game. I say quick. Relatively quick, given the amount of stuff that you're doing. So yes, tell us what you think of Odin.
It was my number 37.
Very similar.
So similar placement. I don't know, I just like it. It's kind of like the culmination of a lot of his ideas. So it's kind of got the worker placement and resource management of like a caverna or an agricola with the patchwork stuff in the patchwork where you're basically, drafting pieces in various ways and then putting the pieces on the board to fill out an area.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
You're trying to be the most efficient in doing that.
Go ahead. Here's on top. And as you can see, packing up goes pretty smoothly. And that's all just stuff that naturally came with the game. We don't have any extra inserts or anything. So that is very helpful. It makes the game much easier to play because it's already stacked and organized. And it's very fun. Again, it's a little bit daunting when you look at all the pieces. The first time setting that up, when you first punch that game, that's a beast.
I mean, it is probably maybe his heaviest game that we own anyway.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I think it's the heaviest game of his that we own.
And as you can see, the weight of it has a certain appeal because it's higher up on our list.
Well, I mean, it really is daunting. I would not play this game unless you have a lot of experience with worker placement games because
the choices will stall you out. It's
overwhelming. All the choices that you have. You almost have to kind of think, this is what my long-term strategy is, and just kind of go for it. Because if you sit here and analyze every little square and trying to figure a thing out, it'd be...
Well, and one of the things that is the beauty of it, you can't make a mistake by picking the wrong track to go because there's so many different paths you can take that are still completely viable and successful. So, very cool. So check it out if you like the heavier stuff. That is a good one. Feast for Odin. My number 29 was my 21 last year. And the year before that, it was my number 6.
Wow.
My number 6. And I cheated a little bit. And I lumped all of them together into one big, beautiful Dominion package. Because Dominion is kind of what got me into board gaming again. And board gaming, like, heavy duty this time. And this is one of my favorite iterations of the game, is the expansion with Prosperity. Love this one. And this is your classic. This has become a classic game now. This is the quintessential deck builder game. It's almost like you haven't played deck builders unless you've tried Dominion at least once, right? Because this is like the standard. You draw this many cards, you draw 5 cards, do this. The standard rules for this game are the rules that most deck builders use, honestly. And, okay, so it's one of those where you can't tell by the cover exactly what's going on with it. And the theme, okay, there's not really a theme. Whatever, don't care. All of the cards all have their unique abilities. I love the fact that every game you play is going to be different because of the different cards you're picking, the different dynamic between the cards, and it's almost like infinite games, especially if you get expansions and add these things together. Like Prosperity adds a whole nother economy to the game and more different provinces and different things like that. I love this game. And the only reason this has really dropped at all, to be completely honest, is probably because I don't get to play it very often. So,
and why don't you get to play it very often?
Because no one else likes to play it with me.
Because Dominion is my 159.
Yeah. So, sad day for Dominion. I super love this game, and I will not turn down an offer to play this game. It's really awesome. So...
Well, you're right. This is what kind of got us back into gaming. I mean, I was pretty hardcore into board games when I was in high school and college, but I had a break of a decade plus before I got back into them. So, this is kind of what brought us back. It's like, oh, hey, I remember these things. I used to play these.
Yeah, and this deck builder stuff, it kind of reminds me, in a way of playing CCGs and some of the other computer games where you have all these different abilities and things like that. It was just like a whole jumble of all sorts of good stuff and memories and something new and fresh. And Dominion does that, and I love it. And the nice thing is there's enough expansions and different versions of Dominion now you can pick and choose your favorites, mix and match, and do all sorts of things with them, and have a completely different game experience every time. So check out the entire world that is Dominion. This one, again, is my personal favorite to go with it. The expansion Prosperity.
There's a shiny second edition version of Dominion.
Oh, yeah.
And Dominion Entry, I think, are the only ones they've second editioned so far. So.
But I wouldn't be surprised, as popular as it is, if eventually they kind of do the same thing with the others that were good sellers.
Yeah, maybe.
At some point, as it gets older. There's enough floating out there now. I don't know that they'll do it right away, but good. Solid game.
So you're batting 500 so far.
All right. My number 28 was my number 23 last year. So it's holding steadily in its rightful position, I think. And that is the very tall, skinny game that is Concordia. Funny thing, we don't have the expansion for this.
No.
We've yet to get the expansion. We just love the base game. We haven't felt the need to really trick it up yet. I think maybe if we played it a lot more frequently, we'd want to do that.
We haven't bought other maps either.
Yeah, but just the original, everything, we have been very happy with this. It's really fun. It's a beautiful trading in the Mediterranean style game, and you're floating around on this map. And I love the mechanism. It just plays really smoothly. The art's beautiful inside. Cover's kind of weird. We've made jokes about that. You can see that on our channel. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can show you anything. I'm trying to think of anything in particular that really stands out. It's just like all these little pieces fit together just so nicely.
Well, it does have a deck building aspect to it.
Yeah.
So
again, something obviously that I really love. You know, they've got great, bright, colorful pieces. The art is a style that I obviously love because it's the classical Greco-Roman style. They use little arches and stuff for your player mats. I love it. The map's gorgeous. I almost hesitate to pull this out, but I gotta show you this. It's just really pretty. It's a really pretty game. And it plays really smoothly. Once you learn how to play, it's pretty intuitive. Yeah, thank you. And I love being able to travel to the different places and putting down my pieces and building my own little economy and engine building so that I can ramp it up. And, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's a two-sided map, too.
No, for the other side's for smaller players.
Yep. Which I thought that was pretty clever, too. It's a beast of a board. It's a bit large. But, I don't know. I like that. I think it has a certain appeal. It's just really pretty. Easy to use. If you haven't played it, you should test it out. I think you'd enjoy it. Again, especially if you like deck building and exploration. There you have it. And that was, again, my 28 Concordia.
My 44, so, thereabouts.
Yeah, pretty close.
I knew you liked this one better than me, though.
Yep. It is a goodie. All right. This is interesting. I find this one really interesting. I'm trying to figure out why. This is my 27 this year, but last year it was my 38, and it's jumped up. And that is Blood Rage. Yes. Yes. Now, we have the fortune of, we did the full-blown Kickstarter and everything, so we have all the expansions, all the goodies that go with this, and this box is chock full. For those of you that may be intimidated by this game, it's not a big fat war game. It's not what it appears to be. Yes, it does have some area control, and you do fight a little bit. Okay. Depending on how crazy you are, you can fight a lot every turn. I'm going to show you the map here. It looks huge and complicated. It's not actually. There's very few regions. It's pretty basic. They all circle the same, the middle section Yggdrasil. And let me show you the glory that is some of these beasts. Look at these gorgeous miniatures.
Unpainted.
They're unpainted, whatever. They've even more gorgeous once Hunter paints them. But yes, they're fantastic. The minis in this are off the charts, crazy awesome. All of the pieces, the sizes. The insert for this is, I cannot even express how valuable that has been as an investment, because you pull these out and can play it. We fit all the expansions and everything in this box, which I don't know how on earth it would fit any other way. Because if you saw the boxes when they came...
Bag them and throw them all in there?
Yeah, it's cringeworthy, okay? It's cringeworthy to think about. But this game, what's neat about it is it's all about, it's kind of clan builder in a way. You pick and choose and trade cards back and forth. You get to use those for the turn. Some of them are going to be battle tactics cards and things like that, but there's other things to help you buy people. And your economy is your rage, and you spend that to buy people, to move people on the maps, to do this and that. Some people give you, some abilities will give you victory points and stuff for certain area control, accomplishing certain things. Some of them give you points if you go to Valhalla and send people there, then they give you victory points, which sometimes it's the opposite. Just depends on what cards you get. I love that. It's Euro meets Ameritrash together, if that's possible. But what's awesome about that too is it's so smooth. I think I'm going to say that over and over as I get through these games. The things that really strike me about them is they have a unique theme. The art's amazing, things like that, but then the smoothness when you play makes a huge difference. We haven't played this in a little while, but it would probably only take us a few minutes. We'd remember the rules. Everything just flows naturally when you play it. I love that. And the learning curve for this game is not as high as you would think. I think it's much simpler than it first appears.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a heavy game, but it's really more of a mid to heavy game. I wouldn't say it really depends on what your experience. It's not a light
game, yeah.
It depends on what your experience is, but if you play midweight Euro games,
you'd be fine.
I mean, it's just basically drafting and area control.
Drafting, that was the word I was looking for some reason, but yeah, drafting, and I love the drafting in this. It's really fun. It's one of those agonizing everything's a good choice.
Yep.
So you just have to pick and choose which way you want to go and how you want to attack and this and that. So awesome game. Love the theme. Crazy awesome minis.
As a side note, she criminally underrates this game. This is my number 10. The year before it was my number 4. So
it's dropping dramatically.
But it's on its way out.
But it's on its way up. What I find interesting in the last year is it's gone up for me. I guess just because we've had so many more plays.
We played it 3 times last year, so.
And they were great plays. And I think part of it too, the first couple times we played it, we didn't play with, even though we had them, we didn't really play with the expansions. We're like, we'll just take it easy and learn the first bit. Oh my gosh. Once you start that and you get that down, you're like, bring in everything. It's so much fun to have this giant mini just put that down. It's like, yeah, fight that. Enjoy. It's amazing. There you go. Blood Rage.
Not amazing enough, apparently.
I jumped up 11 spaces. I'd say
jump
that's
up another 20 spaces.
Yeah, well. So, now we're going to take a lighter turn. Lighter as in not so thrashy. And this is my number 26. It was my number 24 last year, so...
Wow.
Yeah. I could say it's pretty evenly balanced. And that is the greatness of the Castles of Burgundy. Classic, probably just about everybody's favorite Feld. Favorite Feld. Has such a ring to it. May or may not be my favorite Feld. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, this is a great game. You can't tell anything by the cover. We've made fun of this cover numerous times for many reasons because it doesn't reveal anything about the game whatsoever. What is neat about this game is it's Feld and it's well balanced. It plays magnificently 2-player. It's fun to play any other player account. You don't really change the rules between 2 and 4 players. You're taking and you're building up a kingdom, and you get to put down, you get to choose and get different tiles based off of your dice rolls. And this is one of those games where I don't care about the dice rolling so much, because it's again one of those, you've got all these good choices. You get to choose and do actions based off of what dice you roll, but at each station there, it's got all these wonderful things that you can do. Multiple tiles that you can pick. And then you're kind of doing a mini, I don't want to say area control, but you kind of are. Once you fill in a section of the map with a certain type, you get bonus points for that, or certain perks and things. So you're trying to fill out your kingdom in the best way that maximizes your victory points and beating the other player to completing certain types of areas before, you know, because you get extra victory points for that too. So you're playing, you each have your own map, so you're kind of racing against each other to build the best kingdom, but it's not attacking or anything like that. It's very much a Euro. And I really enjoyed this game very much. I love trying to get the different combos and figure out how to maximize the victory points with it.
So, it is my number 36. So, ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
This was our first Feld, and looking back on all the Feld games we've played since, I think we got lucky and well, I don't know if it was lucky, but we chose well to play this as our first, because this is the one I would suggest if you haven't played a Feld and you want to try a Feld out.
This is a great one to start with.
This is the one I would suggest because it's kind of probably the middle or maybe even the lighter side of his games, and it's easy. It's pretty easy to pick up. It has the dice rolling, which a lot of people like. Like she said, there's really not bad choices in this game.
No.
I mean, and there's also ways to mitigate your dice rolls really fairly easily.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, you get these little perks that'll move it up a pip or down a pip, so you have a little maneuverability if there's something you really, really want to get.
Right.
So.
Nope, it's a good one. Good one.
And the other thing too, I just realized it says it plays 30 to 90 minutes, and I think that's pretty accurate, especially once. Yeah, it's about an hour for us, and if you play it more frequently, you'll be able to throw it down really fast.
Oh yeah,
I think.
yeah.
So,
if you've played this regularly and you're playing it probably 2-player, you probably could fly through this pretty quickly.
Yep. So it's pretty awesome. Castles of Burgundy. All right. My number 25 is new, shiny and new to the list, and it's another strange box cover. That is Lorenzo il Magnifico. This game I would pit as heavier than the Feld game I just showed you.
Slightly.
But not by much, yeah. And once again, it's a very similar game. I find it interesting that it ended up being ranked right next to it because you have dice and they determine your actions in the game. But this one's different in the case that we roll 3 dice and you and I both have to use those dice to do our movements. And there's certain columns of different things that you can get. One that's kind of building an engine for building this type of building, and there's one that does like a more political route and this and that. So you've got all these different things, these columns, and once I go to one, then if you decide you want to go to that column, you're going to have to pay. So you have to watch and see where people go or try to beat them to the places if you don't have as much money. Money's very, very tight in this game. And everything is very tight in this game, as a matter of fact. The other thing you have to constantly watch, and it sneaks up on you, is there's 3 phases to the game. And each point, you're checking your faith. Yeah. And if you don't have enough faith built up by the time that these checkpoints hit, there's this huge detriment that happens to you. In the rest of the game, you're penalized in some really painful way. Something is going to be almost impossible or expensive or you're inaccessible to you. It's just completely blocked off if you don't have enough faith. So you have to, and of course, once again, faith is really hard to get and to come by unless you specifically target certain things. These few things. So you're kind of vying for those few items and trying to build that up every round because it resets every time they score it. And there's something about that engine building and the anticipation of rolling the dice and going, I really hope we don't roll high this time because I don't want you to be able to get this, or the opposite, you really want to get as many things as possible. And there are very few games that are as tight, I think, as this one, and it's so well balanced. And I've kind of tried a couple of different tactics, playing it a couple different ways, and they both worked. And I love that. It's not just one path to victory. And sometimes with a game this tight, you'd think there is only one way that really, truly works, but it doesn't feel like that. And that's Lorenzo.
So, Lorenzo, I like this one more than you. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
It's my 19.
Wow.
This is one of my new favorites. It probably has the potential to go up, maybe, because
wow. Yeah.
It was, I wouldn't say it was new when I made my list, but it was still fairly new to us. Yeah, I like it. It's just really, like you said, it's tight. It's smooth. It's easy to learn. It has a lot of different things going for it. The card drafting, the engine building, deciding what you want to focus in on. Like I said, there's like all those different columns. Do you want to do heavy resources and get a lot of stuff that way? Do you want to build buildings to be able to convert things to what you need? Do you want to focus in on the military and go that route with it? I mean, you don't really fight in the military. It's called the military, but it's a track that you get more powerful and it lets you build more territory, take more territories. It's just a really great midweight Euro game. Really nice.
Yeah, and it's almost, because it's so tight, it almost borders on the heavier midweight.
Well,
I feel
it's more thinky. It's not like rules heavy. It's kind of thinky.
Yeah, strategy heavy.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to play this is not that tough. I think it's, again, another pretty smooth game as far as that's concerned. We could throw that down right now, and I don't think I'd forget very many of the rules. But, yeah, the strategy, however, is another story. Good one. Love it, love it, love it. My 25, Lorenzo. All right. My 24 is also new to the list. And it's a shiny pretty. It's probably one of our prettiest games. I'm totally unbiased.
Well, tell us about Yamatai.
Yeah, you knew it was Yamatai. Yamatai. Look at this gorgeous cover. It's ridiculous. The game is absolutely as gorgeous as the box cover. It seriously is one of the prettiest games. This is from the same people that brought you 5 Tribes. So if you like the art and stuff from 5 Tribes, prepare to be wowed again by gorgeous Yamatais. So this time they have, again, similar interesting choices that you need to make. A lot of possibilities. It's pretty wide open. You have a bunch of islands scattered around on this map. And you have different colored ships. And each one of those also comes with special abilities, just like in 5 Tribes where you have the different colored meeples. But here, you can lay out a certain pattern around an island, and if you get that, then you get the card that goes with and victory points associated with it. Or you can go, in any islands that your little ships touch, you can go and pick up things off of the island that might help you or give you victory points, this and that. So you have to make a choice, because you don't get to do both. And sometimes that choice can be really agonizing. We're both doing this and making paths, so we can interact with the boats. It's with each other's boats and stuff, just like in 5. Again, it's very similar to 5 Tribes, but yet very different. The pieces, I can move pieces that he had placed and vice versa. With different cards and abilities and actions, I can interact with them. I can use something that he built to finish building something of mine and interact with it in the same way. Some of the topography on the island, some have mountains, and so they're a little harder to obtain, or they give you more victory points because of it, or there's just all these neat things. The stuff that you can get off the island, you can collect different sets and trade them in to get certain perks. Gorgeous game. And it's, yeah, this is another one that's in the sweet spot. This says 40 to 80 minutes, and I would say, yeah, we hit right around an hour every time. Absolutely gorgeous. It's got the cool, the money is cardboard, but it's the pretty Chinese-style money that's got the little hole in the center or whatever, and trying to think of what else. It's such a gorgeous, stunning game, and I love the way it plays, and I like, I know what it was. The actions in the game shift every round. And that's probably one of my favorite mechanisms. I just love that about it. Oh my, don't look at this. Tragedy has struck. But as you can see, the colors, the artwork, I don't know if you can see that or not. Just really pretty. Pretty game. Those are some of the special abilities. But as you go through, you have these action tiles, okay, that are numbered. And, of course, the lower the number, the sooner you're going to get to go. You get initiative for the next turn. But the abilities may not be as good, okay? First place, yeah, you get to go first next round, but you get one little green ship. Versus 10th, yeah, you may go last, but look at all the loot you get. You get 2 ships and 1 you get to pick. So each thing gets progressively more powerful, but you're going to go later and later in the turn. So I really love that choice and the balance between, I get to go first, but I got kind of some stuff, versus, you know, getting something really, really good, and I get to do a lot of things this turn, but I may suffer for it next turn. There you go.
So Yamatai, I don't like it near as much as you do, but that's okay. It's my number 78. I actually like 5 tribes better.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I just like the Mancala thing. I like it.
You like that? Yeah. I don't know what it is about the I think it's the mechanism with the initiative that I like the best with this, and I love the boats and everything are beautiful. 5 tribes is gorgeous too, but I like the choice of how to map out the patterns for the ships and what ships to use.
Is it maybe because there's maybe a little less choices? I think that's might be something to do with it.
No, I think it's just the slightly different play style.
Okay.
Because yeah, the choices thing doesn't seem to faze me much. I don't know. I couldn't tell you everything. Maybe I like the I've always liked the Eastern theme a lot too. That might have something to do with it too. I like the art with this one just maybe a tad more.
Do you like camels?
I do, but this is more like I've always found the mythology and the history of this region much more interesting.
Okay.
So there you go, Yamatai, gorgeous. That's a fun one. Now we're rolling along to my 23, which was my number 14 last year.
Ooh, my.
Yes, and I think really the only reason it's dropped a little bit is just because we have so many, just the influx of new amazing games, and some of the newness wore off a little bit, and we played the tar out of this too. And obviously I hate it now because it's dropped so low as to be my 23. Ridiculous. Yeah. Roll for the galaxy. Oh, love this game. In particular, what launched it into such a high spot for me is the fact that it had an expansion called Ambition, and it adds these orange dice that are kind of wild and have just changed up how the dice work and the choices that you get to pick. And you are rolling action dice, and you get to choose your actions based off of it. But it has a ton of mitigation for it. So you get to pick out of, say, 6 actions, and whichever ones, whoever's person is it gets to pick an action. Well, if I had put some of my dice behind that action, I'm also going to get to use that action that turn. So it's really fun. You're going to try to guess, okay, I think he's going to want to build some planets. So I'm going to put some dice under the planet building action this time. And I'm gambling that I'm using some of my dice up to be able to do that and kind of piggyback on his action, because I'm only going to get to pick one action too. And so you're doing this and you're trying to build up your area for victory points, of course. And this is the kind of dice rolling I like, because there's not I rolled a 1. You know, everything is some kind of action, and you get to pick and do different things. I love it, and I love the choices for it. The dice are colorful. All the space theme is really fun. I love the different actions and the balance in the game. Just super awesome game.
Well, it's my 105.
Okay.
But what's weird about this game, even though it's not like one of my super favorites, I wouldn't necessarily rarely turn down a game of this.
Oh yeah, I know.
Just because I don't necessarily like the game itself, how it plays out, but I like the rolling of the dice and the drafting of the dice and that sort of thing, and more so than the planets and the combos and building the engine. I kind of like, I get to get some brown dice, or I get to get some green dice here. They're just... I love, yeah. I know, I mean, that sounds very simplistic, but I like getting the different dice and that sort of thing.
I think this hits a lot of points for people because of that. Yeah, it's just really fun for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. So...
Yep, that is Roll for the Galaxy. Very, very fun. If you like dice at all, or space, or both, perfect game for you. Alright. This one is my number 22. It was my number 30 last year, and the year before that was my number 8.
What?
Yeah.
What the heck dropped in came back up. I don't know. You got me. Oh dear.
I had to put it in its own special little box because of all the expansions and stuff I have. And that is, if you couldn't read that, Star Realms. I love Star Realms. And it dropped a little bit just because we had just a huge influx of games. But then, I believe for a holiday or something, you bought me some expansions. And that kind of launched the game back up for me because all the expansions added events. I loved it. The addition of events into the game. So what you have, this is a great little tiny deck builder game. And that's it. Cards. That's it. This box is chock full. Even in here, I've got cards inside it. Okay? And it's another one of those you draw, you lay out your spaceships, you buy what you can, use your money, you use the other stuff to attack your other player. You have a certain number of hit points that you can take. When you're done, you scoop up all your cards, put them in the discard, draw your 5, and wait for your turn. It is that simple. I just taught you how to play the game, basically. I love that about it. And then so now with the addition, you have different varieties of ships and different combos you can use. And now you've got these captains, and you have events, and I love this game. I love this game. Again, it's tiny, and I've got so many cards that it takes me a lot of plays to get through my deck now, and I can take this anywhere. It doesn't take up a lot of space because you only need like this much space to be able to throw your cards down in front of you and then scoop them up and put them in the discard, and have a little space in between you for your purchase area. So you can play this anywhere. I love it. And I can teach anybody to play this game because it's so simple. Anybody that's played any card game is going to know how to shuffle up and lay out 5 cards and go from there. Because all of the text on the cards tell you exactly what to do. It's that simple. I love it. They now have Hero Realms now. They've kind of fantasied up the game. I have not even played it yet because I'm stuck on Star Realms. I love it. I love the space theme. I feel like, why mess with perfection? The only thing I need to do now is fancy up my box a little bit. Because it's a very generic box.
Yeah, you don't like the box I made for you?
That's pretty awesome. But it's boxes genericus.
It's got the little packages on there.
It is. We cut off the packages from when we bought the booster pack stuff and stuck them on the box. So
this is my not appearing in the film.
Yeah, your top 10,000.
I wouldn't say 10,000, but it's okay.
I love deck builders.
It's okay.
I love deck builders.
I was much more excited about it when we first got it, but then it kind of pretty quickly. I don't know. It's just
too light for you.
Well,
that's why.
Yeah, I mean, just card games in general. There's not very many that I'll play. I mean, let me rephrase that. Not very many that I love. I mean, I'll play a lot of them. I'll play Star Realms. I'll play almost any game. But yeah, this one just needs more oomph to it, right? It's just very.
No,
it's very card generic. Anyway, there's not. When I play this game, I don't feel like I've got these ships and then I'm fighting you and I'm blowing up your ship.
Oh, I do.
I just don't get that impression at all.
Especially when I get the blobs. I love the blob ships.
I just don't get that.
Damage.
I just don't.
Damage.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Pew pew. Yeah. I love it. I love a crazy little simple space game.
I tolerate it.
Like you tolerate me, apparently.
Yeah, I love you. Alright. Despite your poor choices.
Oh my goodness. We're about to have some technical difficulties, folks. Hold tight. Alright, so my last for today.
Already?
Yes.
Alright, impress me. It's your last chance.
I will impress you. It's new.
Last chance to redeem yourself.
It's new to the list. New to the list. And boy, is it. We got this after I made my list. We have played it.
After you made your list?
This is new. It was after. Well, no, not after I made this year's list. After I made last year's list.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
So we've had it for almost a full year, really. I'm pretty sure. And we've had an expansion since then, and it's amazing. And you all probably are like, bandwagoners, and I don't care, because I will join the hype. That is this monster called Scythe. Oh my goodness. This is another game. This is heavier than Blood Rage.
Yes.
But at the same time, I would say this is a game that I think people misunderstand in the same manner they misunderstand Blood Rage. Because you look at this and you're like, oh my gosh, big, heavy, clunky war game. Nope. This has a map, and yes, you can area control it a bit. You don't necessarily have to attack very much in this game. You can take that route, but you don't have to. The majority of the focus for this game is your amazing player board, your individual player board, though. At least I feel like that's the focus. The main map has a lot going on with it and resource gathering and stuff. Not that that's not important, because there's also a main middle factory map in the map that you have to deal with. But your own player map has this engine builder on it. And you're building up your own engine, and as you do certain things in the top part of your board, you also get to pay to put some of those pieces from the top to the bottom that make some of the items that are more expensive that you need to purchase later, that make them cheaper. So you start to slowly be able to churn out some of these more difficult things as the game progresses and do it more cheaply. And everyone's player map is different. I love it. It's just slightly different. So I couldn't just at a glance peek over and see what he's doing and know what he's probably focusing on, because for him to build his mechs, he's going to have to do something completely different than what I'm doing. It's really cool. So everyone's got their own faction. Each faction has its own focus and special abilities. Some of them are really, they almost sound like Game Breaker. Like one of them lets you move through water areas, and usually you have to kind of level up, so to speak, to be able to do that at all. And this one does it automatically. You know, there's things like that everyone has a really cool ability. The victory points in the game are kind of, you're checking off missions, so to speak. Once you win a battle, you can get one. Once you accomplish a certain mission, you do this. Once you take over a certain region or do something with that, you get a victory point. There's so much going on with it. The learning curve may be higher at first, but I think once you play this game, again, it's so smooth. It's really easy to get into the groove. You know what you need to do each turn. And that's the beauty of Scythe. I love it. Oh, the other thing. I love the adventure cards.
The counter cards?
The counter cards. Yeah, when you go and have an encounter. One of the reasons I like to travel the map more than fighting, I could care less about that, honestly, which is probably to my detriment sometimes, but I love hitting the encounter cards because they'll have this beautiful artwork, and then you have something like, you encounter a farmer with his pigs. Do you want to help the farmer herd his pigs back to their pen, or do you want to beat up the farmer and steal his pigs for dinner, or do you want to chase the pigs into the village and cause a ruckus? And each time, depending on those, you're going to, you know, gain reputation or lose reputation or get some resources or this and that. You get different things based off the encounter. The encounters are off the wall hilarious. I love it. But they're misleading because it looks like this very, like the art, the cover art, serious and beautiful. And then you read these options and everybody chuckles. It's just, they're fantastic. So it has a little bit of everything and I just love it.
You're right. It has a little bit of everything. That's why it is my number 4.
Wow.
Number 4. I love this game. This game has...
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Just, like she said, so many things I like about it. I like the you're building out your map, you're expanding and getting resources. You've got your engine building. You have your workers. You're putting your workers out in different areas to get different resources. You got little mechs that are moving around carrying your workers and resources. You got combat. You got card. Basically, you do almost like a bidding system combat with augmented by cards. It's an awesome game, and it does have combat, so if that kind of turns you off, it's understandable, but it's really such a minor part of the game for the most part, unless you have someone that's just like gung-ho with combat. But if they're gung-ho with combat, they're going to waste all their power on combat, and it's going to make them easier for someone to come behind them and attack them, because you're, like I said, you're bidding your power to win the combat, and if you're doing a lot of combat, you're using all your power, people are going to come and take advantage of that. So you can't just go crazy with the combat. But it just got so many things going for it. I enjoy the Wind Gambit expansion, I think is what it's called, with the little ships.
They're not little.
It adds another aspect to the game. There's an expansion that adds more players and different colors, and the 2 expansion factions are very, very different from all the other factions. So, are you going to show some of this stuff
I'm going to
off?
show off some of the stuff. Here's the resources. Okay, you got cool little pieces for that. Scythe coins, by the way, the metal coins, we bought those before we even had this game, and we use them in any of our games that need coins to keep track of the money. Fantastic purchase if you want to get some good metal coins. This is the Wind Gambit expansion. Look at the size of these beasties. They're huge. They're so awesome. I love these. I guess the white one probably stands out against my black shirt more. But yeah, and it's fun to stick these, because everything else, if you look, you can see these pieces. They're not that big. Uh-huh. And you just put that on the board. People kind of have to pay attention to what's going on. They don't do much. It's funny.
They have a spot on the thing to carry your workers and resources around. So.
It's really cool. And they're not as fierce. They're more of a transport thing than anything, and a passive-aggressive.
They have like a combat effect, and then they have like a kind of a passive effect.
Yeah, and I find them pretty cool. It was very fun to play with them. So if you really like Scythe, get that expansion. It's totally worth it. But that is Scythe. It is one of those that I think lived up to its hype.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still going strong. This game, the only reason I would not play this over and over is just the time constraint. And after a while, I think mentally I'd be like, whew, because it feels heavier to me because of the engine building that you have with your player mat.
Well, yeah, you got the whole thing going on with your board, and
then you have the main board with the map. I mean,
people
you're really
getting up in your business.
Yeah, because your player mat's your own little world. You're really focusing on that, but you really have to pay attention to what's going on that main map. So it's much heavier than Blood Rage, but it's got that smooth play to it, because I mean, you know how the turns are going to roll. It's just so nice. I love that about it.
Yep.
But, whew, yeah. This is not one of those you want to play multiple games of straight in a row, because you'll melt. Well, yeah, you probably will. It probably will melt you, though. It'll melt your brain. It's good stuff in a good way. And that is my 21. Can you believe it? We are now down to the top 20 of my favorite games, period. As of 2017.
Hey, you got it right.
I did. Look at that. Must be a full moon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, the list keeps getting better and better and better, and we'll play these games more and more and more. We can't wait to share them with you. So stay tuned for next week's installment of 20 through 11. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.